And initializing. We're here. We're live. We're coming at you. The dishes are done, man. John and Agnew, welcome back. Heavy lifting, light lifting, who knows? I don't lift anymore.
We decided to split this into a cliffhanger and just cut the stream right mid sentence, so everyone was like, "What?"
We're just going to keep doing 5-minute intros and then cut it off before the topic actually starts.
Everything is going to be in 5, because that's what we were just talking about, the 5-minute increments of TV, because that's all you can handle.
I remember learning about, like, it was like a marketing class, and it was like, it's 15 minutes because it's the person that gets in his car for 15 minutes to go buy lunch and then 15 minutes on the ride back. You know, other than like people who live at home or work at home, I guess. But, you know, that wasn't factored in yet, really.
Oh, for like the radio and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
he's traveling from here to here. He's only going to be in the car for this long.
Yeah, that's why, like, CNN on like a slow news day, it's like, they are really peeling this onion.
Yeah, they're like, grass, can it strangle you? You know, it's like, and it's like scrolling on the bottom, and then they cover it in like another 10 minutes. They're like, we're going to have a grass expert here later.
So Biden's dog bit someone again.
Yes.
It's the 8th time.
It turns out 15 minutes ago when we announced that Biden's dog bit somebody, it turns out it wasn't his dog. It was just a dog.
And then 15 minutes later, that counter fact about it not being Biden's dog was disproven. It is his dog, and his dog is shot. Sorry.
Turns out it wasn't a dog at all. Somebody just stepped in a puddle.
And you say set-top boxes. No one knows what that means. Cable.
Yeah, I was talking about that today. Yeah, well, it's because they used to sit on top of your TV set.
Right.
Because your TV was a giant, huge, flat box that was normally made of wood back in the day, right?
Right.
So
it wasn't a TV. It was a TV set.
Yeah, so when they came out with it, that was like a whole piece of furniture. Like, you could put flowers and things on top of your TV. And because it was like about 3 feet deep, you know, and weighed about 10,000 pounds.
So weird.
Can you just like imagine now if people, I guess people did then too, right? I mean, like when people rioted and stuff and they broke into like, you know, shops.
That was the thing in the 90s LA riots. The guys always running out. Dr. Dre, it's even in a song. And it's like the images of them, they can barely get them in the trunk and shut it.
Right.
Because the boxes were so huge.
Like, you're going to throw your back out doing that. Like, now it's like easy. The hardest thing that they have to figure out is that, you know, a 72-inch flat screen won't fit in a Ford Focus.
Right. Your car's not wide enough now.
No matter what you do, they're like, well, like, I can't fit it. And then they're like looking, somebody help me. And it's like, what? Like, where do you think you are?
You can't break
so
physics.
Anyway,
geometry.
It's like
so you did a lot of venturing. You that's how you absorbed the BBC.
Yeah.
I never remembered, because I know you were into The Office way before, and then, you know, the show, you know, the America made one, and apparently they're making another one.
Oh, really?
Not even apparently. Like, it's happening.
Apparently,
the guy. Really... Yeah, it's not apparently. It's happening. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
So I was always like, when did I get into that show? Because I know I knew of it before.
Oh, the British Office?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
That had to be me. There's
no
way.
No,
like,
it was you.
I was shoving it down people's throats. Like, it was.
There are a few things that
I was like McDonald's with soda.
More sure about. Yeah.
Force feeding it to you.
Yeah. And it was worth it. Yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, well, anything this guy makes, I'll be involved.
Here's the crazy thing, though, right?
Like genius.
Just the way the shows were laid out, like the Office, the first season of the British Office, 6 episodes. The second season, 6 episodes, and 1 special. That's it. Right. That's all the shows. You could watch it, you know, during your lunch break, basically. Like, the concept of binging like you could easily, that would be like a light appetizer if you were about to like sit and just veg for the day. But it's
It's just
so solidly packed,
the premise alone is such a hook, that you kind of like let them build, because it's just such you're like, oh, we've all been here. Like, I don't know. It's like when they laugh before the punchline. It's like just the idea is funny.
Yeah.
You don't even have to really try.
I don't think there wasn't even like a laugh track in it. It was just
No, that's what made
it
it.
just kept going because the silence was half of the funny in the show. Like
Yeah,
the
that was
dead silence when he would just kind of look at the camera or say like finish a line in some ridiculous way. Like that was always the best. But
they did that in the American one for the first 2 seasons, and then Steve Carell was like, well, if we're gonna make more seasons, like, he can't be like an asshole the whole time. He's eventually gonna have to have like a good guy arc. Like, he becomes a good guy by the end.
Oh.
And that's how they did it. That's how they did it for 10 seasons.
See, I guess
slowly becomes less of a dick.
In the UK one, it's like he's always, he kept all of his flaws, and then what they did was at the end they found, like at the Christmas special at the end, he finds like a girl that's like nice to him.
Yeah.
And like that's the resolution. And he actually treats her nicely and kind of stops his misbehaving for like a few moments in the show. And so like that's his redemption. His redemption is just that, like, well, everybody's got somebody. It's more like of a moral, like a higher moral than he actually was resolved. It was just like, yeah, even the jerk, but I'm sure we'll find somebody and maybe that'll just make him happy and he'll behave.
It's the right woman can put any guy in his, make him straighten up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was a good lesson.
And that's they also do that when Carell left the show before it ended, like a season or 2 early. That's sort of how it ends.
Still never watched it.
I know.
Not
so impressive.
I know, but it's also like I'm the guy that says that, so
mm-hmm.
I'm not the guy that says that anymore. But I still haven't sat down to actually watch it. It's kind of tough. Like, I know I like boycotted it when it first came out and stuff, but it was just really tough to see like the same jokes, and I had just watched those 2 seasons like nonstop. Like any free time, I was just watching them in the background, like while I do other things. It was very much like Arrested Development. Like, it's just a show you just leave on. You don't have to think about.
Consumed it, and then you were like, now there's a new version. I just kind of like wrung the original one dry.
Yeah. So when I saw like the Jello mold with the stapler and stuff like that,
that's like the first 2 seasons. Then they merge with another company, like another branch.
Yeah.
And then, because that's when the ratings go through the roof and they have more money, and then the show becomes the same but different.
Yeah.
It kind of becomes its own thing.
Well, and then that comes down to kind of the point, because the British shows seemed a bit more calm, like compared to the American shows. Like, they weren't as loud, as rowdy. There was one, there were shows you probably wouldn't even get in the US. There was a show called is it You Are What You Eat or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I forget I think it was something like that. It was like You Are What You Eat. Honestly, this is on at like 1:00 in the afternoon. The lady would visit fat people's houses.
Wow.
Like
great job.
Go to them, and first
she contribute nothing to society.
She would lay out all the food they ate in a week on one table. So if
it would never fit on the table.
That's what it was. It was like a giant smorgasbord. And they're like, she's like, this is how much you ate this week. Just this week, like, this is how much you ate. And it's like all laying there. And normally the people are like, say the wrong thing, right? Like, normally the people are like, I don't know, those chips look pretty good. I might eat
like them. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Then she has them poop into a Tupperware container.
Oh no.
And she dissects the poop and shows them how unhealthy they are.
Oh.
And it's like
interessante.
Like literally, like she just has it like in like a Rubbermaid container, like in the show, it's like all blurred out, but she's like, look, see how like this must have hurt coming out, you know, like
Dude, I
I just love it.
remember
It was like so
because I worked at this set top box place for a week, and I remember stumbling upon some other country's television and being like, it is just different. This other place, like we are a little. It's funny how touchy we are about things and how touchy they are about things.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so weird.
And you can tell it's just like whatever, like on some path, like everybody was going down this path, and then somebody liked this one thing, and somebody like didn't like it, and
Right.
it just dramatically veered, and then they never got back together, and so you get like crazy Japanese like game shows and stuff like that, and then you've got like The Bachelor on the other side. It's like just completely not the same formula anymore. Like
I
cousins, but
remember.
not anywhere close.
Right. I remember Mr. Flood, our old Spanish teacher, the old wrestling coach at
Oh
LaSalle
man,
High School.
that's a throwback.
Him being like, he's like fluent in Spanish, and he's like, I've gone to Spanish, movie theaters that play Spanish movies,
Yeah.
and I've been able to follow the whole entire movie, every single word that's said, but every time, all of a sudden, the movie just ends. He's like, there's some kind of barrier where like their ending of a movie is so different than ours,
Yeah.
which is so crazy to me. But I kind of get it.
I feel like sometimes it's like time periods are off too. So I feel like sometimes when he was probably watching a movie in the 90s in like Mexico or wherever he was,
Yeah.
it was probably more based on like a 60s or 70s movie that would just end. Right? Like some 60s and
The
70s
Hitchcock
movies, you
ones.
watch them and they're
All
just
of a
like, nah,
sudden,
like it's just
credits.
like credits. And you're
All
like,
of a sudden, the credits are just coming up. You're like, no, this is in the middle. It's in the middle.
What? Didn't we just start this? Like, did the killer get away? Or like, what? I didn't learn anything.
Unresolved.
Yeah. So, but like that Americanized part of things always bothered me. And one thing I used to watch was Kitchen Nightmares, like the Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares. And the UK version was very intimate. Like he did he did the voiceover.
It was like longer.
Yeah, it would be like he'd be like counseling people on their marriage, and telling them to stop, and then he'd like be in the kitchen with them, and
he'd get to like the actual real root of like why business is failing because the person is like failing somewhere.
Yeah. It wasn't as much about like screaming as it was like, hey, did you stop drinking so that like you can cook tonight?
Right.
Like I can smell it on you. Like what's in that cup? Like stuff like that. It was
my favorite thing is when he was like, you loved doing this one time. Why are you so mad now? And he like pulls the like artistic like passion that they like buried under like make money and all that nonsense that ruins it all. Like when you make something that you love for money, it can get
they just need kind of that wake up call, like because they just
you're great at this
in the cycle. It's like, oh well, I want to make that, but like when a lot of times they're not making, like it's a seafood place and they're not making fresh seafood. Like they're next to the beach, but they're like, oh well, it's cheaper to get frozen. It's like
from California.
You're a seafood. Like, are you kidding me? And he's like, did you even go out and talk to the fishermen? They're like, what? And then he walks them out there, and the fisherman's like, yeah, these are like 10 cents. And then
I love those.
They learn their lesson.
I love that. I love Gordon.
And sometimes
I know more about food than anyone on the planet.
The best is like one time he was in a show and he was rolling sashimi, and the like at another chef's place. I forget what show it was. It was something like where he like crosses over and tries other cuisines, and he was in the back kitchen trying to roll it, and the chef kept rejecting his sashimi because it wasn't rolled tight enough. Because it was like a Michelin star place or something like that. He was like, no, like, sorry. And like, you could tell Gordon was like kind of like angry but embarrassed. Like he's at the same level as him for a different cuisine. So it's kind of like making fun of somebody. It's like, so it's like somebody playing like a basketball star, like LeBron playing baseball and like getting struck out. It's like, okay, but
it'd be like a samurai trying to like show UFC moves.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you're right there.
My sword
but
back,
not
please.
Exactly. Not exactly. Yeah.
But
right. Yeah. feel
So,
naked.
and there was even episodes where the cooking was fine. Like there was the Mama, what was it, like Mama June's or something like that, where it was like a Jamaican place,
Mm.
and he came back up to the kitchen and his plate is completely clean. He's like, that was delicious. Like that was like
Ooh.
an amazing meal. So it's like also like it didn't follow the formula every time. It wasn't like, oh, like this is disgusting and he's spitting the food
Oh.
out or he served something raw or something like that. It was like he cleared the plate. And he's like, so now I need to figure out what is actually wrong because the food is
Oh,
incredible.
oh, right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Sometimes
like,
the food would be good, but the atmosphere would be gross
yeah.
or just ugly.
Or they'd find like one thing is good and it turns out that like the quiet, extra cook in the back was making it like secretly on the weekends or something. Like he made the strawberry shortcake or something like that, and that was phenomenal. And he would be like, "Wow, that's really good." Now I don't know, it's still TV, so I don't know if somebody was like researching it ahead of time and they're like, "That's going to be your hook." Like somebody
Ah,
did it right, but I feel like those were just
I hope
him
so.
and a camera guy. I don't feel like it was very. And
Yeah,
then
right.
if
It felt
it felt like he was doing like the voiceover in the hotel, like
pretty
underneath the sheets,
guerrilla-ish.
like.
It didn't seem like NBC's crew was there.
No, no, it didn't seem like overly produced. And then when you get to Kitchen Nightmares in the US, it's like yantan, yantan, bam, 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 like it has all these like I hate the sound effects, the like the rattlesnake sound, like, and
That
everybody's insane. So
and then this.
yeah. On Kitchen Nightmares, and it always shows like a
I told him to go beep himself.
yeah, right. They love bleeping. I feel like they even bleeped non-curse words because they
Right.
were like, we need more bleeps in this episode to act like somebody's cursing. They're like, get the fries, and it's like, get the beep fries.
It's the fake
Um,
Jimmy Kimmel
but anyway,
bleeps.
so I built off that and moved on. This is like the longest explanation ever, but
I love it.
they built. I moved through like his whole catalog. There was one like the F word, which was really funny. That was also like a British one. And
Wait,
Ricky
whose
Gervais
whole
is in
catalog?
that and stuff too. Was
Whose whole
that
catalog? Whose whole catalog?
like all the Gordon
Oh,
Ramsay
okay, okay, okay.
shows? Yeah,
Yeah.
like all like once
Oh,
I saw
wow.
one of his, then the F word was cool because it was like half in a restaurant,
I don't know the
and then
F
they'd
word.
have like a guest star, and some celebrity would come in to kind of cook their mom's lasagna or something like that, and then they'd have
Mhm.
a taste test outside, and people would be like, "Oh,
Ah.
I like this," and Gordon Ramsay would be like, "Yeah, you're crazy," like because they'd pick the comedian's food or something like that, and then and you got to see his family. Like he'd go back to his house and he's
That's
like raising
awesome.
like pigs and chickens and stuff like that. So it
Oh,
was,
dude, dude, I'm such a fan of his. I think he's like one of the great. I think he's like a one of a kind, like Stephen A. Smith. Like there's only really one of that of
yeah,
Gordon Ramsay. Like there's so many food TV personalities. I'm like, just get out of here. He's the best. He knows the most, and he has like he has everything. He checks all the boxes
yeah.
for me.
I just always felt like when you got to the U.S. shows, it just kind of it reduced him. It like
Oh
reduced him
yeah,
down to just the sweetness, right? It's like, oh yeah, we just want the sugar. Like just give us the sugar. Don't give us anything else. I just want straight sugar, And so it would just be him like cursing, and then in the
one
last five
year.
seconds, it would be like, Gordon, you saved us, and he'd be like, good luck, and then like that would be
Congratulations,
the end. Yeah,
congratulations.
yeah,
You move on. It's like he can do more than that.
yeah.
I remember a friend being like, Kev's wife, Ashley. I don't know. He's so mean. I was like, that's no, he's not mean. That's the TV show.
I actually, I think the first time I recognized who he was actually watching Ricky Gervais's show Extras, where he was like an
Love
extra
that
in
show.
movies,
I
and
love that show.
he was walking into like a restaurant, and Gordon was coming out, and then he started harassing Gordon, saying, "It's like you make like your whole thing is just yelling at people," and like Gordon just starts like ripping into him and stuff, and I was like, I didn't even recognize that was him. Like I think maybe I had watched that episode before I ever watched any Gordon Ramsay. Anyway, so I went through the catalog, Master Chef,
Oh
Hell's
wow,
Kitchen.
Master
Yeah.
Chef Junior.
No, I don't do Master Chef.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Something's I don't know. Something's weird when
I know, children.
it's just weird.
Children and adults.
It's just weird because it's like you're never going to be able to really criticize them because they're still ahead of everyone else who's watching the show.
And be careful with your compliments.
Yeah, and yeah, like all of
Don't
it's
make
just
any innuendos.
yeah.
It'll be weird quickly.
really, really, it's like a fast track.
No, automatic.
I get that it was a gimmick. I mean, like I feel like every show is like, all right, this but kids. Like it's not
Nick Jr.
They're like, all right, okay, hear me out. Breaking Bad, but kids, you know.
Worst one.
Yeah, bad choice. Gotta say no.
Do we have to keep doing the kids thing?
Who's watching this?
Is that the only idea?
So anyway, so I've watched all the seasons. Like Hell's Kitchen was also one I really liked, and that's where they have. It was normally like, I don't know, a dozen guys versus a dozen girls, and they would battle it out, and then
I loved it.
It eventually mix, and they win prizes and stuff like that. But again, it's all super Americanized, like den den yan den. They like throw fudge on them. They're like
turning the knob before whoever wins. Like they both grab the handle.
I hate the handle thing. That's one thing. That's one thing.
Commercials.
That's one thing I really don't like about that show is the handle thing. Because I just feel like I would just like if it was me, I would just push on that handle until it snapped off, and then I just open the door and be like, "Oh, technicality. Guess I own a place." Like you could beat that handle. That handle is like a weak,
cheap.
That's like the cheapest doorknob handle you can find. Like I would just strong arm it like right off the wall and be like, "Oh, Gordon, you chose me."
Like Jerry's apartment door was more real than that.
So anyway, I recently noticed, this is like a few weeks ago, on YouTube, they started releasing a thing called Served Raw. And I think it's maybe the second season of Hell's Kitchen. And it's only the dinner services. It's none of like the competitions or anything like that, but it's the dinner service.
Weird.
And it's completely unedited. I mean, it's edited to a point, but there's no... Except for there's 2 seconds of introduction, and then it's only their microphones. And it's just him walking around, like being like, "Where's that?" I think some parts are probably cut out. Like I think some dead air might be cut out, or if people like, if he stops to read something or goes to the bathroom, they probably don't show that part. But no, it's extremely not produced. It's just. Except for like the multiple cameras like that they cover, in the thing. And it's just so great because you hear everything that Gordon is saying, and it's not just the catchphrases. It's like, hey, like, did you mix that? And he like walks over and like mixes it with them and stuff like that. And he's like, I showed you how to do this earlier today. Do it the right way. Do it the way I taught you. And then, get this in a nonstick pan, and then there's all the catchphrases like, where's my sauce, where's
donkey
the lamb sauce, and but you can see kind of the build up to it. And oh man, it's just it's like 2 hours of just unedited dinner service. Like you can walk like,
wow,
if you want to like remember the tickets, like you can remember the tickets and watch the tickets come up. Like it's
no way. I want to watch. What's it called again?
It's on the Gordon Ramsay. It's either the Gordon Ramsay or the Hell's Kitchen channel. I think it's the Gordon Ramsay channel. And then if you go to playlists, then there's one that's called Served Raw, like Hell's Kitchen Served Raw.
Oh, I get it. Served raw, like
served raw.
It's not cooked and edited,
and they mess up
and juiced. As well. Do they have to like redo things?
What do you mean?
Oh,
well, now that you've rephrased it.
They mess up. What do you mean they mess up? Like the food?
Yeah, like they mess up the food. Like they'll serve it raw or something like that. So they also do that.
I'm trying to remember his like the main dishes that he would have. Like the what was the one that always was a big one? Scallops had to be raw. It was like a beef. Oh, beef Wellington.
Oh yeah, I tried making that Christmas.
Scallops. One. What else? You tried to make beef Wellington?
Yeah, he makes a risotto. like a
Ooh,
mushroom risotto.
risotto, tough one, real tough,
Yeah,
scary.
risotto's all right. It's like
Yeah,
you
no,
just got to keep it moving.
you just
You
got to
just got
keep
to
it
keep it
moving. Yeah,
moving. You just
that's
got to
it.
keep it moving.
If you let it sit for like a second, it's over.
And actually,
A shark.
I learned that you need to use that same technique with like any pasta, right? Like
Yeah, pretty much.
so if you make spaghetti sauce, right? Uh, and or gravy if you put meat in it, and you make your spaghetti,
That's what makes
throw your spaghetti into the sauce and stir it like all hell,
it. Yeah.
and it'll become so creamy and delicious. And I don't know why I never did this. Probably because it feels counterintuitive, so I probably just avoided it because of a logic block in my head.
Yes.
And I know that
A risk
pasta,
reward
yeah,
block.
like pasta water is gold. You know, like oh, like don't throw that out; it's gold.
What do you do with it?
But I was making gravy on Sunday.
Drink it.
Came out really nice because
Nice.
I was nice and relaxed and could focus on it. And it was like
Uh,
Eagles and then Phillies game, like
when
one
you
after another. So
when you cook with love,
when you cook with love and you
your
can just
food
relax and
is better. So a wise woman told me that once.
it is like when you
It's
yeah
true.
when you put the love in it, it's absolutely there.
Yeah. Hell
Of
yeah.
course, if you focus too much on it, you'll mess everything up.
Right.
That's also a rule, but
Yeah.
especially with meatballs, like meatballs can just come out terrible. But my meatballs came out perfect. The sauce was nice, a little bit of spicy. It was good. I follow kind of more of an Alton. I've kind of
Okay.
taken my mom's recipe, but made it a bit more whole tomato and a bit more Alton brown. I like putting anchovies in it now. I don't know why. It just gives it that right flavor. And so,
Gross, but
and
also I love
no,
them.
they just dissolve. They like it's like adding
Oh,
onions.
no
Yeah, they
way.
just disappear in like 3 seconds.
I didn't even consider
Yeah. No,
it just
I don't
dissolving
even.
in.
And his recipes like put two in. I'm like I just throw the can. I don't.
I love
Just
Alton
go nuts.
Brown's show. I forget what it's called, but he kind of like breaks down one thing in every episode. It's like
Good eats.
Lost. Yeah, Good Eats. Yeah. Um, I was picturing like imagine spaghetti with red sauce and like minnows like laying in and out of the spaghetti.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like how Ninja Turtles taught us anchovies are. Right.
yo,
Like just big fish just sitting on top of it.
I watched that movie. I watched the new Turtles. Not to continue to veer, but I didn't hate it.
I didn't.
I liked the way it looked.
Yeah, I liked how it looked. I didn't. I liked kind of like the brother aspect of it as like younger teenagers. I think that was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't like how Splinter was represented. I like he just what like he wasn't wise. He wasn't like an actual martial artist. It was just
I was
I
so
felt really betrayed on that one.
I felt like a character from another movie came into the turtle movie, and I was like, "You don't. Everything about you is just not fitting right now. I don't know what happened."
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because I was like, "Oh my god, get this part over with." When he's doing the flashback.
Yeah, it just really hurt because he was like the comic relief, and I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, he's like the Yoda of this universe. He's
yeah,
not whoever that is, Kung Fu, or what was that like?
oh
You know,
yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
like
Hong Kong Phooey or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
like a
from Hanna
parody,
Barbera. Yeah,
a parody
yeah,
of something.
that's a lot what it was like. It was a lot more like that character.
Yeah, like
But
oh,
yeah, it was weird, and like, and I wasn't sure which path they would
oh.
take because I don't even know what the right path is anymore. But I remember, I think it was always that he was a man and he became a rat. I'm pretty sure. Like in in the cartoon, it was he was a man and became a rat because he
Right,
was around the rats so
around the
much when he
rats.
found and then he found the turtles and then he became a rat because
The
of that.
ooze turned him into a rat.
But then in our Ninja Turtles first movie, he was a rat who practiced in the cage, which really didn't make much sense. So to be fair, I was also upset as a kid watching little Splinter in like rat
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah like doing kicks as like a little puppet. That was not
I was like, okay, the rest of this movie's so realistic, except for this.
and the other thing was is like in the cartoon, in the opening credits, like you see him go into this for whatever reason, like a square wooden box, and punch his way out like 5 different ways. And I always, as a kid, I always wanted, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to just see Splinter unleashed. I would expect Splinter unleashed would be like the same as Vader, at the end of Rogue One.
Oh, I was thinking like more like Miyagi, like they just like could barely touch him. He was just like so smooth. He would just pressure point,
That's true. Yeah, he
you
would
know,
probably be a little. I
because
mean,
he's
I,
so
I didn't,
old.
I didn't expect him to go and slaughter everybody, but I mean, just kind of very
Right.
much, very much similar to Miyagi. That's fair. Miyagi versus like those
The
Karate Kid guys.
skeletons.
Yeah, the skeletons. But
Whoa.
so I was always kind of hoping for that, and then in our first movie, it was like all he did was have the nunchucks and kind of do like a little flip of
I know.
Shredder, and you're like, ah. I mean, he did
Kind of
it,
cool, but
but then it just, and like I still didn't understand the physics of it. Like
yeah, right. It was different. It was. I was like,
Shredder kind of like just did it for you, sort of. Like it was all his momentum. It was. I mean, whatever.
That movie is really great for everything underneath.
It is really. I mean, like the animatronics, like it made you feel like they were real. And watching it even now, it's like
At the beginning,
it doesn't pull you out of it, right?
I love the beginning when the Psy flies into the light and it's just black, and then and they're like making jokes.
That it's just so simple. Because I mean, if you really think of it from like a movie making standpoint, they're like,
exactly.
"Hey, do you guys want to save like $80,000 in 2 minutes?"
And so it's so crazy that's like what we were talking about. It's like what Spielberg did with Jaws. It's like they're tricks for nothing.
Yeah, it's
you don't have to spend 200.
But that was kind of set your thing. I think the music in that movie too, like it set your expectations, and then the movie's music was really good for that movie too. It was like, meow, like you'd get this like long guitar riff or something.
It was 90s.
It was like somewhat depressing, and then it would be like upbeat, and then it would be like depressing again.
Have you ever heard of the Phantom Edit?
The Phantom Edit?
No. Yeah. I'm amazed that you haven't heard of this. Because I've always heard of it, and then I finally like heard someone explain it when I was unintentionally watching something else, and this person just was like, yeah, like the Phantom Edit. And apparently someone, when the Phantom Menace came out and people wanted to, jump off buildings, somebody, I forget the guy's name. It's like something weird, like an online name. He edited it and took like 30 minutes out of it, like significantly reducing Jar Jar Binks' appearances and muting a lot of his dialogue, making him appear like a silent, almost like stoic character.
Oh.
And and apparently it like drastically changes the movie. At least
as long as Anakin doesn't talk either.
It's so weird though, because it's like, I guess I can get it, because I remember watching both Justice Leagues, and that was like, oh Jesus, these are so different.
Yeah.
So I guess a half hour is pretty significant.
I mean, sometimes even like 5 minutes is significant. I mean, like when I was watching the Donner cut, we had to interrupt it because I completely forgot that some parts of it probably weren't. We watched the first Superman, and so Leo was like, ready for number 2. I'm like, all right, well, we're going to watch the Donner cut because I'm not going to expose you to the Saran Wrap S. And we got like halfway through. But in the Donner cut, there's a lot more of Superman spending time in like silver sheets with Lois, and Leo's like, where are they?
Turn his powers off or whatever?
Yeah. We didn't even get to that part. It was like all before then. But the Donner cut has like Brando in it.
Right.
Which the other one didn't. So it was so that for one makes it completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So we got halfway through, and then we got to some of those scenes, and I'm like, all right, maybe I didn't remember this exact. Like it's really hard to remember some old movies and think it's like even Superman was like,
especially those, man. We watched them for like so long ago, like they were in my memory, and it just started like chiseling away to like the parts that stay in the
Yeah, like
Zeitgeist.
when I think of Superman, I'm just like, okay, helicopter scene and flight around the world, and like
I know.
the
The car coming out of the dirt.
I remember the pool scene
Niagara Falls.
when he was like drowning in the pool as a
Oh
kid. Like I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
not
that's
understanding that
brutal.
scene at all.
Oh really?
Like I don't like I couldn't understand. Like I knew the kryptonite was affecting him, but I didn't like understand. I think how mean all the people could be to just let Superman drown. You know, like that just seemed of all like the villain movies. That still to me seems like one of the cruelest. Like they're like, here, Superman, like I'm gonna put this around your head. Like we just met. Like this is the first time we've met. I'm putting this around your neck and I'm gonna let you drown in a pool. Like what a
remember
horrible death. Like
remember
it's
in the beginning of Pee-wee's Big Adventure when he suspects that his next door neighbor Francis stole his bike and he runs over and he like knocks on the door and they like wouldn't let him in and then he like gets the fake thing on the door and then he sneaks in behind because he's like he's taking a bath and he's taking a bath in that huge like pool.
yeah, it's a whole pool.
So amazing, greatest bathtub ever. I I used to think that that's where Superman was. I thought Lex Luthor was at Francis's house and
Oh
threw
my
Superman
gosh.
in that pool
Oh,
because it was like Francis was the villain ultimately of that movie.
sure.
And I
Francis was
hated that part.
terrible. Yeah.
I hated that part
I
with
hated that part too
around his
because
neck.
you knew he was lying and like you just wanted the bike back too.
And then I love Paul Rubens. I read this interview with him where he like wrote that script in like an evening. He's like, I made it 90 pages. On page 30, he loses the bike. On page 60, he gets the bike back. I'm like, oh my God. So that's what it is in every movie. That's all it is.
Well, especially some of those movies, it's like because
Some form or
it's
another.
just the segments. Like you just have to lay out the segments. It doesn't matter where he goes next. It's like, all right, now he's going to go to a truck stop and he's going to meet Large Marge, and she
Right.
will not have any effect on
Right.
any other part of the movie. Like if you look at that movie, everything is just these little parts that have no effect on the next part. You know, until I guess he calls people back at the end. But it's just like you could swap in anybody for any part. It's crazy.
Right.
There was
I
another
love
movie we
that
were watching
large March part.
that was like that, where it's just like it just kept going. Oh, we were watching Airborne. Um, I don't know if you know the '90s
Airborne.
classic Airborne about rollerblading. You know how they make
Uh,
movies about karate, and they make movies about
Three Ninjas. Loved it.
yeah,
Loved it.
right,
One of my faves.
yeah. So this was the if rollerblading needed a movie, they made it. And actually, it's like Jack Black's first movie, and um,
Oh,
Seth Green. It might be his first movie too. Um,
what?
yeah, It's actually a pretty good one. Airborne.
Really, really old. I think I'm remembering it now
It's
that
like
you mentioned Seth,
'93. It's
Seth
like '90. There
Green.
was a lot to see in '93, so chances are you didn't see
Lot.
it.
93, 94.
It was like the golden age. It was just like Jim Carrey had like 4 movies coming out on the same weekend.
Dude, it was like
Like you're like, which one should I watch?
Jim Carrey had two comedies going head to head, and Tarantino had like two dramas going head to head.
Yeah. And
Tom Hanks.
we still had Batman movies coming out. Mask of the Phantasm also came out that summer, '93. We're gonna do a movie night. I'm not pulling these numbers out of my butt. We're doing a movie night on the porch tomorrow night, and we're
Where are you?
watching Hocus Pocus. And
Oh, I love that movie.
I still don't know if technically all of this will work because it's a projector. I don't know if the sun's going to be down enough by 6:30, and we're going to set it up, see how it
You can
goes.
check your phone.
Yeah, sunset is supposed to be at 6:30. I just don't know if it'll be dark at sunset, like because sometimes there's
Right.
still like a glow.
Dusk.
Dusk. So I set up some trailers, and so I downloaded a bunch of the 1993 trailers. So it would be like the trailers you would see when you would actually see this movie,
Oh
like see
my
Hocus Pocus in the theater.
God.
So it was pretty great because we got
Wow.
Free Willy, um, um, It's
Oh,
the
you mean the movies that were like coming out
I don't. I mean,
when
some of them
Hocus
I
Pocus?
didn't check the date that they released, so
Oh, but you ballparked it.
some of them may have come out before Hocus Pocus. But I'm just trying to get something
Yeah, no, I get
in the
it.
ballpark. Yeah,
It's cool. I thought you were saying that like when are you doing this tomorrow?
yeah. Tomorrow night.
That like maybe tomorrow morning or yeah, like tomorrow morning you show them the trailer for Hocus Pocus.
Well, you can't. No, the problem with these 1993 trailers is they really give away everything. Like there is nothing left
Oh,
when you
really?
watch these. It's like here's the beginning, here's the middle, here's the finale. Like they don't even.
I remember them showing the end
Yeah,
a lot.
they
And then like in a movie theater, I remember watching a movie and being like, okay, well this part hasn't happened yet. And then like that part would happen at the end and I'm like, gosh, they showed the end.
yeah. No, they show you exactly what's
Do
going to
they think
happen.
no one watches the
Sometimes the
preview?
narrating guy even like says what happens in the end. He's like, "But he'll learn through love that everything's going to be okay." You know, back when they're
That's true.
right.
I didn't give a shit.
No, they would just
And
say,
at the end, they'll get married.
yeah,
What?
they'll get married and live a long life until they get a big dog coming out next summer.
And
Beethoven 7.
somebody doesn't like dogs. Are
Yeah.
you allergic? No,
Daddy, can we keep him?
I just don't like dogs. Who's that guy, the dad from Beethoven?
Oh, I don't know. He's also the What About Bob dad, right?
And I think the dad in
He's really typecast. He's like,
Clifford.
they're like, we've got something for you. It's a dad who does not like what his family is doing.
Yeah, right.
Are you in?
That's what he is. Wait, who did you say?
What's that?
The dad from what?
Beethoven? And What About Bob? Or no,
Or
that's
Dreyfuss?
is that Richard Dreyfuss? Oh yeah.
It's Richard Dreyfuss.
No, the
Blast.
he's in another movie that's identical to
Clifford.
it.
Clifford with Martin Short.
Clifford. Okay. Same movie. I mean, it's the oddball. We just watched Captain Ron, which is also the same movie. That's
so
Martin Short.
funny.
That's Martin Short as the dad,
Oh right.
and Kurt
Kurt
Russell
Russell?
as the
Ego?
wacky guy. Yeah,
Oh my god, that movie was funny. Or it was good. I like
it was
that movie.
inappropriate. I mean, it was funny. The kid was like drinking beer in a scene. We're like, oh, I don't remember that part.
Young punks. Yeah, well yeah, Ron was kind of a bad influence, but
There's always like
ultimately a good guy.
there's always like the rebellious older like girl teen in it. Oh my
Yeah,
God. It's
yeah,
like so
right.
cliche. It's like so funny to watch though.
It's so bad.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was
That's kind of what I went into The Creator. I was like, I think I know where this is gonna go. Terminator, probably. You know, can we survive with the machines? That's kind of what it was.
is that kind of where it
Yeah,
went?
it was cool. You know what it was? It was like it was cool. I mean, like the premise again. It's like before you even give me the material, just the idea. I'm like, I'm in. Show me the weird stuff. It's
Yeah.
like not the future. It's kind of the future, but it's like in this timeline or whatever, we figured out AI in like the 70s. Like we perfected it or whatever. You know, like our technology was way ahead, way earlier. And then by some accident, a nuke got dropped on LA. So
Whoops.
then America just banned AI, but China has kept it going.
The funny thing is like if a nuke landed on LA, I feel like the rest of America would just be like, okay. Like, should we change anything? It's like
it's not gonna happen
kind of
again.
like, I
right?
mean, like, yeah, we figured out the problem, right? We plugged the hole. You know, it's not like Kansas is going to care. They're like, who?
You know, wear and tear.
You mean Louisiana? What?
Jurassic Park, when they opened, they had problems. Yes. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, that is where Demolition Man like was focused, right? So,
oh, jeez, Louise. Was it? I can't remember.
I think that's the
Love that
only
movie.
movie that I actually believe is our future,
Mm.
where everything
No
just
red meat,
yeah, no red
no
meat,
cigarettes.
yeah, rat burgers,
Well, we're already there. We're
and
basically
then
already there.
yeah, and commercials for music. Commercial like I think they went too far. I think they went to like Oscar Mayer
Jing-
Wiener being like the main
jingles.
hit, you know. But
Armor hot dogs.
yeah, I think they're
Yeah, but it's so funny because that a song that dumb could, depending on who's doing it,
yeah. We
it
had
could be.
like
Remember that pants on the ground,
yeah,
pants on the ground.
yeah. What does the fox
Wasn't a song.
say?
It was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
all those songs are.
I love the SNL version of the Fox. It was what does my girl? Yeah, what does my girl say? Who that bitch? Who that? So funny. Um, but yeah, I was thinking about parental approval
Yes,
to
we're
to,
entering
drama- to,
the dad segment
to
of
dramatically
yeah.
veer,
No, you were right on part because that's what we were
because
talking about.
a lot of people talk about that. Being like a motivator.
From
A
what
lot of successful people. Like I watched Beckham. I had no
Bend
interest
It Like
really.
Beckham, or you watched The Man?
Oh, I would never watch Bend It Like Beckham. No, I watched the
Keira Knightley
documentary.
was up there for
That's true. She's got
at that
such a
time.
face,
Yeah.
such a face, and like a perfect face. But no, the documentary on Netflix with about him and Posh Spice,
Ah,
who I'm a fan of, and I was always interested in like how the hell they kept it all together, and I was also like, he was just like the best soccer player of all time, right? Like nobody even like Pele and then him. And
he was also like really good looking,
right. Also,
except for his voice, right? Like his voice was really like that was the joke, right?
yes, he is a bit of an Adam Levine, a little high pitch, little like there's videotape of him when he was like 16 and sounded the same as the narrator. uh, but he talked about that. Always wanting to impress his father, and he always wanted his dad's approval, and his dad just crushed him,
Oh, okay.
molded him into who he is. And I always remember Agassi's dad was like that in the book, and I was like, I don't know how I felt about that. Like if that was something that it was like, did I want my dad's approval, or did I want just not to be, disapproved? You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like I wanted him to be like, "That's great, Jonathan." I just didn't want him to be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I think the only approval I ever really wanted was of my future kids. And I like always kind of had that in my head. I was like, I just hope my kids like, think I do a good job when I become a dad and am about to die. That's the only approval I really seek.
Did I do a good job? There, Dad.
Dad,
You did it.
You did. And then I'll be like, and I'll look over and they'll be like, he didn't really do a good job. I'm like, you motherfucker. In Deadpool 2. Oh, I thought that was it.
Thought that was it?
I'm still here.
Yeah. That's not what I was expecting you to talk about. So I thought you meant your parental approval of something else, of like kid stuff. So yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I think
that's also an interesting
I think a kid definitely. Let's start from the kid perspective.
spaghetti.
Spaghetti. From a kid perspective, it's like you definitely want approval from anybody you look up to.
Yeah.
So from like your parents and from like I remember wanting approval from like coaches. right? Like getting approval from like Mr.
Yeah.
Doherty for baseball or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
would
yeah,
be a
yeah.
major thing.
Mr.
Um,
Judge.
if somebody just kind of gave you like a nod,
Hmm.
you'd feel like you really earned it. Like
Oh, dude.
certain coaches didn't. You know, you only got it
When
if you deserved it. You know.
when Mr. Judge showed up to our football team and put me at defensive end, he like he gave me so much confidence like that I just didn't like know to like have or look for that it made me it made me good. I was like I had like no identity as a defensive player, and then he showed up and like I was like I'm gonna wreck shop for this guy because he's awesome
Yeah.
and he thinks I'm good.
Well, I mean, and that's sort of the thing. I mean, even with the kids now, when we get to something for sports, it's like I don't mind volunteering to coach, but there's also a point where I'm just like, coach, take them. Like, I'll take all the other kids, but you have to take mine because I don't like they can't mix this up, right? Because I can't be the person who tells them to round third and the person who tells them to go to bed, right? Like it just doesn't.
Oh right.
They need you. Like I'll be there to celebrate with them, but they need you to say like swing
I
harder or keep your back foot down or that's like I'll tell them in the off time, but the moment you say it
Yeah.
is the moment it's going to register because they're going to be like, coach was really happy that I did that, or my teacher's going to be really happy that I said this. And then they want to bring those credentials back to you, right? Like so
Oh right.
if Mr. Judge, pushed you and you did that, now you want to come back to your dad and be like, Mr. Judge said I did a great job, right? And there's like that's it closing off. Now you're getting approval back to you're almost like sharing it, right? You're like, hey, look, like I did
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's like when a cat brings a dead mouse to the
It's
doorstep.
exactly like when a cat brings a dead mouse.
It's
You were
like
bringing the dead mouse of defensive end.
right. It's like I produced. I became. I have a purpose.
Yeah.
That's it. I sacked that kid. Whooped
I,
his ass.
I mean, you definitely, I think kids live off of that sort of approval. Not too much approval. That's the other thing too. It's got to be balanced. Like it can't just be
Yes.
approval all day
Oh,
long. Like a lot of the stuff today is just like, don't worry, we tell your kids they're approved all day long, and it's like, I don't want that.
we overcompensated for the the generation before, um, where it was like conform assholes. Now it's like everyone's an individual and they're all good.
Yeah, everybody's perfect. And I'm like,
It's
no.
like no, it's we're one and we're good and bad.
Somebody came running
All of
over to
us.
me. They were
There's
like,
no flat answer.
we were at a baseball practice and Ruby was like some mom came over and like brought Ruby over and was like her stomach really hurts, and I'm like, tell her to walk it off. And she was like, no, but she's like in pain. I'm like,
Sit on the toilet.
there's a
Spread your
porta potty
cheeks.
over there that a homeless guy's living in. She can go poop in there if she wants. Like I don't, because the other thing is like you also are not aware of how much control the kids are always trying to impose on situations. And Ruby's really smart, so I know she's already tricked you into like you'll probably run out and go get her an ice cream in like 5 seconds. Like she'll have an ice pack, ice cream, and be on like a sofa if she keeps controlling everything here. So I say like walk it off, and she's like never mind, and she just grabs her glove and goes back on the field. Now I could be wrong. I could be insensitive, maybe, but that's kind of the role of dad is to kind of be a little insensitive and push them to keep going, right? Because not everybody's going to be like super nice to you in your life, and then you're going to be really shocked. So
I know. I'm waiting for the moment to play the scene in Rocky Balboa. The only scene you really need to see as a child
yeah,
to understand what's coming. Like it will. I love when he's like, "Life will beat you down to your knees and keep you there,"
yeah,
and it's like that is so true. Like it will make it hurt for the whole time, for this whole trip,
yeah.
if you
And
let it. If you
who
let it.
who are
If
you
you
going to
allow it.
blame?
Right.
That's
It's crazy.
So for me, that like I think the approval comes right, but I think making sure that it's restricted is also really important. It has to be
Yeah.
it has to be earned. Like it can't just
Right.
be
I
here you go,
remember
here you
like
go, here you go.
I remember smelling so much fake, they're just saying something positive to be positive. It's not like a genuine compliment. That like when it did come from a person who never gave it or rarely did, it just meant more. But yeah, it's like too much was almost like any was too much.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's so strange. It's like what Brett Favre said when he won the Super Bowl for the first time. He's like, I was up there with the trophy thinking, this is it. I guess this is it. Like he was like, thought it would be something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a bit of like remorse in your actual brain, like when you actually achieve something, the adrenaline and everything that you get from it is on the path.
Yeah, and you like
One
want them to have the same like experience, but they don't.
it's and it's almost no different for drugs, right? Like if somebody was using drugs, like a lot of it is the effort to get the drugs again. Like a lot of it is once they have the drugs in their possession again. I mean, I don't have to stay on that analogy, but it's like,
Oh no, I know what you mean.
I mean, the
It's like
drug itself like hooks them in, but it's really the
right.
draw to get it again, right? Like so, just like Favre, it's like the plays leading up to it was the accomplishment. Like the winning at the very moment of the victory was the accomplishment. The holding the trophy wasn't.
I know. It's like when we would watch CWO, I always thought that was like my favorite part. But really, when you black out into that flow of just you barely even remember what you said or what you do when you're making it, that was when the camera was going and we were like in character, that was like the, you know,
For me, it was even I think just getting
best
there.
time.
It's like, all right, like here goes 2 hours of our lives. It was
Yeah.
like everything's set up,
No.
everything's ready. Like you somehow scribbled together some sort of script. I'm like, I don't have to think. I don't have to, like, I just have to
No.
do, like, I just shut my brain off. And
That's why I love watching like the behind the scenes stuff where James Gunn is on like a boom and he's just like feeding lines to Dave Bautista and he's just saying them and James Gunn is capturing it on camera and then chopping up and making it look, and it's like I was doing that on the fly like with you guys and it was always so good. And I'm always like, that must be like the greatest job in the world to be able to do that, on that stage.
I always get trouble with that. Like, I always wonder whether that, like, the other thing with CWO was like nobody was demanding that you come up with 2 or 3 of those scripts a day. Like nobody was like you didn't have to do it. Like you wanted to do it,
Of
right?
course.
But if
Of
somebody
course.
was like, "All
Yeah.
right, do it, but now do it for 8 hours and do it today and do it tomorrow and do it the
This
next day,"
this
and
this topic comes up a lot. It's like if you're forced to do what you do when you're inspired, then you're forcing inspiration, and that's like not a thing.
I mean,
That's empty.
what I think some people say, um, find the thing that you like to do and do that as your job, and you'll be happy
Do it
for
till it
you'll
kills
never
you.
work a day in your life or whatever.
Right.
I don't think that's quite right.
Right.
I think Seinfeld actually had it best. I think, and I'm not going to be able to quote him off the top of my head, but it was more like pick your torture,
Uh,
pick the torture that you can deal with the best, and then make that what you do. Because
yeah,
there's
he's like
tons of
life.
tortures to pick. You can pick all the tortures you want. Anybody can go out and get a torture, but pick the torture you're best at dealing with, and then make that your job, and then you'll enjoy it because it's the least amount of torture that you can go through in life. It sounds like a very negative way of saying it, but he's right.
No,
Like no
yes,
matter
that
what
was
you're
definitely a
doing,
paraphrase. Yeah, he goes to find. Yeah, he's like, see how much discomfort you can deal with. Or
yeah,
like
discomfort was probably a better way of putting it than torture.
on how I think he said it on Howard, but he's like, yeah, life is just how much discomfort can you handle.
Yeah.
and more I can't handle it because Heather like is just such a social butterfly, and she's like making all these plans, and I'm like, I was so excited to become an adult and not like live at home because then I didn't have to like do what anyone said. I could do whatever I chose.
Yeah.
Now that's gone again. And it's like so like doubled down. I'm like, I'm never gonna plan a thing ever again. Luckily, I've
Well,
got some holidays
here's
you
the all
can't
right,
touch.
all right. But here's the thing. Like I get what you're saying. Like for me, I actually have a very tough time
What
figuring
am I?
out what I want. Like what like cuz
I am.
Kelly very often is like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I'm like,
I got nothing.
sit. Like
I'm like, I don't want to do anything.
I want to sit on a chair. So I feel very unimaginative when it comes to my own time.
Me too. Dude, I'm like, I think I only went out to be social and just put so much effort into it so that I could find the best girl, marry her, have a family of my own, and just be like the king of this little tiny house and never leave. And it's like, okay, that's ridiculous. But I
It's like I've got
also
3 shows a night, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
we're gonna have Star Wars going nonstop upstairs and Disney's downstairs. And but no, and but I'm like, okay, that's obviously insane. But it's also like I'd like to do that one night a month,
Yeah.
with everybody where we kind of like play Daddy's World. So it's like uh this the thing is I just don't want to have something to do that like when we have to wait all day Saturday and then at like 6:37 we leave to the kids screaming, don't go for like 2 minutes, which
I love
just
that. Oh, why does
kill
that bother you? I
it
love
kills
that.
me
That's my
all day because
favorite
I don't
thing.
like it when they're sad. I
No,
hate
no,
it.
I walk out. I feel like I'm the Beatles. Like I just walk like, no, I'm sorry, we gotta go. I love you guys. Bye bye. Like just right
See,
out the
I already know, and I feel like
They're
the Beatles are way
fine.
below
They're
me.
fine.
I know,
You're not
but I
scarring them.
hate the anticipation, like
I know,
the
I'm just kidding.
anxiety all day long waiting. I'm like, I fucking just it like ruins my whole Saturday.
Well,
So
we're
then it's
becoming
like,
grumpy old men, right? Like we want things to be at 10 a.m., no earlier, no later, and done by 12 for our nap. That's what we want. Like,
I would like a joint nap, like everybody on the couch. We're gonna put on something cool. We're gonna close all the blinds, put on the fan, turn off the lights. Everybody shut the hell up for 2 hours. Then we'll go back outside.
well, but don't you like? Do you ever ask for that?
Dude, I attempt and it's just not in the card. It's like I know the audience. And it's like maybe in a year or two,
No,
like Hannah's like almost there. There's gonna be like more. No, what do you mean no?
no. I mean, like, if you need it, then you should get it. You need to like ask for it. Like, are you're saying like you
You-
want the kids around smoking blunts or what? Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying there. I thought you said you just wanted to like smoke and like sit on the couch and relax in the dark and just chill.
Not smoke,
Oh,
but like
I
yeah,
thought I
just
heard
like
to join in there or
you
something.
know, like you were like after 10 o'clock, and then everything done by noon for our nap.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like, yeah, well, when they wake up at 5:40 and run all day, and that includes like 2 hours at the pool. By
yeah,
noon, it would be nice. It would literally be nice to maybe not a nap, but like have everybody chilling out on the couch, quiet
sure,
for like 2 hours.
yeah.
And it's like I can't ask for that because it will not happen. Like I've tried.
Well, you can't
It's
ask the
just like
kids.
impossible.
Yeah, you can't ask the
It's like
kids.
impossible planning and stuff like that. Right. And like Heather will, she'll like, what's it called? Like multitask. And I'm like, see, you're not in it. So now the girls are like half in it. It's like this, like I said, it's like a domino effect. And I just get like, I'm like, all right, we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
I guess maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Who knows?
okay. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like in the early stages, like we were kind of losing our minds when like Leo wouldn't sleep and stuff like that. So yeah, I get
Like
it.
the
I'm not.
attention spans are just sometimes can be rough.
Yeah.
And like when they are like, I don't know, it's like it's just, dude, rough. It's sometimes here, and I'm sure it's rough up there in the summer too. But like walking outside and they don't care. They're like immune to it still. It's like within 2 minutes, I'm like, I'm going down. It's unbearable.
Yeah. No, I mean definitely during the summer.
The heat, my
The heat.
God,
The
the
heat.
heat.
I don't even notice it. Like it attacks me, and then I come in, and then I'm just grumpy as hell, and I couldn't even figure out why, or I needed a nap. Like I just zonk, like I'm out cold because it just zaps my energy. I'm out.
That's the worst when you are out in the heat and then come into the cold, and then you're like, so cozy.
It's like what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think what I was saying before was like maybe even just trying to vocalize what exactly you want, like what exactly you want to Heather,
Yeah.
like
But,
that.
but then I'm scared. I'm like, what if they're like, I don't want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do a lot of the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
So suck it up for me. I can't, then I won't enjoy it. If they're like doing it just for me and not because they like it, then it's like, forget it. We'll find something another time. I don't want to ask them to do something they are not enjoying, so it's like finding that thing is tricky.
I'm just I think I know what you're saying. I just think that until you do it, you don't know if you're gonna like just like Favre didn't know he wasn't gonna enjoy holding the Lombardi trophy. Like until you get to that point, you're saying that you won't
Right.
enjoy it, but you haven't even had it yet. So how do you know? It's
Right.
like
Of course.
it's like Leo
Yeah.
tonight. I was like, eat a baked potato, and he's like, I don't like baked potatoes, and I'm like, well, based on what? And he's like, I had one like 2 years ago. I'm like, well, take a bite. I don't know.
Well,
It's like,
yeah. Like like I've said, like we're gonna chill out and watch a movie, and it's been nixed by
oh, well, you
Hannah.
gotta,
And
well, no, you gotta plan it though.
yeah,
It has to be like ahead of time. You can't. It can't be because then
yeah.
all that's going to happen is you're going to get upset, right? Like I do that all the time. Like
No, I've planned it, and then like it'll be no matter what the movie is, dude. Whenever the antagonist appears, Hannah's like, "Dad, I don't like it. Turn it off." Like no matter what, and I like that's like a weird. That's like another thing. I'm like, do I turn it off right away, or am I like, I'm always like, it's supposed to be scary. It's
well,
make believe.
but you got to maybe layer your request. So this is what I would do. I'd be like, hey, tomorrow after kid gymnasium class,
Studies, right? Yeah,
I'm going to be tired.
tumbling.
We're tumbling after tumbling. We're going to go back and I'm going to watch this movie. If you don't want to watch the movie with me, you can go read your book over in the other room, or you guys can go and play checkers, or I don't know where
But I'm
everybody's at
gonna
with stuff,
watch
but
this.
I'm going to be in here watching this, and we're not going to stop it. Like lay it all
Mm.
out exactly the way it's going to play out. I mean, like you're still
Mm.
dad, right? So it's like these are the things that are going to happen. If you don't want to participate in them, you're more than welcome to go somewhere else, right? But
See,
they're happening.
I'm so focused on not being a scary dad
I don't think
that
that's a scary dad thing.
I'm a bit of a pushover. I know it isn't, but I'm
Yeah.
so focused on not being one that I like, I take it a little probably too far. I'm such a freaking pushover.
I
I'm
know, but
like,
aren't
well,
you going
we'll
to
make
be
it
like
all
more
normal.
upset? Like, aren't you going to be like in a worse state of mind as a dad
Yes.
if you
Yes.
wanted to watch the
200%.
movie and the movie then gets interrupted and then everybody starts screaming and now you didn't get what you wanted and you're in a worse situation,
Yes.
right? Then you're
Yes.
going to be like,
And yes. And yes.
you're going to be like,
Yeah, I'm gonna be like tumor.
I mean,
It's
that's how
not
I get.
tumor.
I get that way too. So I get
I
like I
pile
said,
up
like we
little
go out and
things.
do something, and it's like I feel like at some point in some days during, especially during the weekends, I feel like I did enough. Like
Yeah.
did the food shopping. Like we went to the park. I made conversation with a parent I don't want to talk
I
to.
put in enough
Like
time with this
I put in the
family
time. We went to like
that
a
I
we
made.
went to like a birthday party, and I get back and I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in the chair and remake coffee from this morning
Disappear.
because I didn't enjoy it. I'm gonna have a second coffee. I don't care if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm having a second coffee. Like I'm gonna sit in the chair, and like I go and sit in the chair, and then if any sort of particle comes into the room that wasn't preordained, I lose it. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
hey, do you want to make the grocery list? Like I just lose it, and it's like I'm working on it, but again,
It's like
it's because
what
I'm
you
not laying
said.
things out. I'm not. I'm
Right.
not. I'm
It's
not
like you,
saying I want to sit. Like I didn't say out loud, I want to go sit. I just sat, and I thought I deserved it, but I didn't say it, so
but
nobody knew I was thinking it.
you also got to be like, right. Yeah, of course. No, they should all read your mind. You should also in your head be like, okay, I'm going to say, guys, I want to sit down.
That's the hardest part.
But if they tell me no, I'm going to smash one of their heads against the wall and be like, I'm serious this time.
Well, I mean, like,
Don't interrupt me. I mean, don't.
are you saying
Yeah.
that the kids will say no, or like Heather will say no?
No, the
Like the
kids.
kids will say no.
Kids. And
Well, I mean, like,
I
because sometimes
can't.
like there's like responsibilities going. Like if if like Kelly's running around with the kids and like doing the dishes or something like that, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go sit down for a little bit.
No, 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 no.
My
Yeah, yeah.
tootsies need something. Like I can understand there's a no coming at the end of
Of
that,
course.
or
Of
just a very
course.
loud laugh.
Right.
But if the kids, I don't know. Like I feel like I've always. I mean, the kids are older, so I get that I'm in a different situation.
And you have
But
a boy.
well,
I'd
that's
be
its
tougher
own
on a
thing.
boy.
That's its own thing.
I'd be less fragile. I mean, I'd be less delicate with a boy.
I don't know if that's true
I
because
don't know either.
I
I'd
feel
probably be
like
even more.
the boys are way more sensitive, especially at this age.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, boys are walking. It's. I've always said this. Corporate America is
I'll be the
identical to
judge of that.
kindergarten. Nothing has changed,
Yeah,
just
I agree.
the titles. And it's
The
just
height.
a bunch of egos walking around. That's all they
Yeah,
are. Like,
just a 5-year-old,
yeah,
6-year-old.
yeah. So, yeah, all through, like, I'd say kindergarten through third grade, it's just egos walking around and they get shattered constantly.
Yeah.
And it can happen for no reason. It could be just like, oh, that kid got in front of me in line and they just, and also it has to do with like how tired they are and stuff like that. But
I
it
know
just,
what they ate.
no, he like I found that most of the boys, and like he's got friends that come over, like they're all very sensitive. So as much as I thought like it would be different, maybe it will be later, but at least in this phase, yeah, I don't think I'd yell as much. Like I feel like I yell more at Ruby than I do at Leo. Um, but he's kind of a rule follower, so as long as I give him strict rules. Right now he does stuff for tickets. Like I had a
Yeah.
roll of raffle tickets left over from like that one stand event that I threw,
Yes.
and I was going to run a 50-50 or something during it because I had all the
Yes.
time and all those people working with me.
Yeah, right.
Except for it was nobody. It was just me. And
Right.
so
Right.
I we
And you
went
weren't
to
drinking
we went to some
or enjoying yourself.
we went to some event. I wasn't setting an entire grill on fire. Um, we
Or
went
falling.
to we went to like an event, and the event, like you pay like $10 and they give you a whole bunch of tickets, and then the kids use the tickets at like for beanbag toss or something like that, and they win little prizes.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
so we got home from that, and he's like, hey, I still have 2 tickets left over. I'm like, well, they're worthless because you didn't use them at the thing. And he's like, no, like, can I keep them? And I'm like, yes, you can keep them. And so then he was like, I wish I had like more than these. And I was like, I think I have some in the basement. And so like I dug out, like it's just a giant roll. It's like a huge roll
Yeah,
of tickets.
I see it in my mind's eye.
And so then I was like, hey, if you pick up all your cars, I'll give you a ticket. And he's like, yeah, really? Okay. And he like runs over and he's like, can I have my ticket now, please? So right now it died down for a while, but it just
Yes.
started up again. And it's like, he's like, hey,
Genius.
I went to bed. I stayed in my bed all night. I only got up to go to the bathroom and I went right back to bed afterwards. Can I have my 2 sleeping tickets, please? And I'm like, here you go. You know, like
Dude.
you
What a
can't go
great
crazy with
kid.
them. It has to
What a,
be slow.
what a great kid.
So, but he follows like those sorts of things. So if you can find one of those things, like it
Right.
doesn't have to have value. Like it doesn't have to be like candy. It doesn't have to be a high value thing. It just has to be high value to them,
Right.
you know? So
Yeah,
like,
she likes the weirdest things. It's like a cat. It's like you buy a cat a toy and it's still playing with like a feather that fell out of a pillow. Like it's always like the opposite of whatever you're pushing.
well, maybe that's it though. Maybe you just get
Yeah,
a
it is.
bunch
It's
of
like
like
seashells.
just go to the dollar store
Dollar store,
website and
dude.
just order like a bag of random junk. And I hate having random junk, but if it gets your sanity back, then random junk it is.
Yeah, kids just they acquire it.
It's like, hey, you know, if you and just ease it in, like, hey, if you give me 10 minutes of quiet, you get something from the jar. If you give me, and then next time it's nope, you did 10 minutes last time, 20 minutes of quiet this time, and now 30 minutes of quiet, and now leave the house for the afternoon. Walk around the block a
Yeah,
couple times.
yeah.
But it like those
Ride your
incentives, you
scooter.
know, I feel like it worked. And it
Yeah, the reward thing I am a huge fan of. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's getting something like that, like those tickets
it's
instead
like
of a.
he has a pile of tickets and he has them all lined up on his on
Does he
his
have does he
nightstand.
have a plan for them?
No, they have no value.
But he just likes them.
We never even said what they like go towards.
But does he think he can
We did
like
have like
take
a
them and cash them in?
we had a swear jar, like not a swear jar, but it was a groan jar because everybody for some reason, including me and the kids, well probably because of me, and then the kids, right? Like the kids probably saw me do it, and then they started doing it. But everybody in the house started going like, "Ugh!" Every single like it was like Paul Rudd in Wet Hot American Summer. It was just nonstop, just throughout the house, like, hey, can you pick that up? So we started. So we started saying it. I said it was a nickel, right? I'm like, it's a nickel if anybody, because I also figured I'm like, all
A
right, I'll turn.
nickel.
Well, if it's a nickel, then it becomes like an adding thing, right? Then it's
Ooh,
like,
nice.
right.
Ooh,
So it kind of
yeah,
becomes like a
bunch.
currency thing. So because
Yeah.
sometimes there would be like one or two in a moment, right? It would be like, and I'd be like nickel, and they'd be like, no, that's a dime, you know. And
And then you'd be like,
so they're learning
ah.
money, and then they were actually really smart about this because I was doing it too.
No
And we
way.
started a jar, and they said,
Yeah, I
"What are you
do.
going
We
to?"
all do it.
They said, "What are you going to use the money for?" And I said, "Well, when mommy and I go on date night, we'll buy ice cream." And they're like, "But yours are in there too." So then we had to start 2 jars.
There you
Like,
go. Yeah,
oh,
they're all
damn.
mine.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 jars. That's so funny. So then what, when you guys do it, they get the money?
You know, it never came up. They forgot about it.
It's fizzling because they stopped eyeing.
It started getting really into it started turning into like red flag challenges and stuff like that because it was like, and when I'd be like, nickel, and they'd be like, no, 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 I was smiling, I was just joking, I was just making like a joke that I was gonna say it. So it still did its purpose because it would snap them out of whatever mood they were in. So it still
That's
works,
true.
but oh my gosh, it would be like hour-long discussions after somebody did one. And then like everybody would rule, like Lee would be like, no, no, I saw her. She was smiling from the angle and we were kind of talking about
Oh
something like
my god.
positive, and then it's just
Oh my god. Let's
these
call New
huge
York.
debates.
Let's call
Yeah.
New York and look at the replay.
That's what it
Left
felt
and
like.
shine.
Yeah. So everybody was like really adamant. And then it would be like we went on vacation and there was a lot during vacation and Leo had the ledger. He was ready. Like we walked in the door, he's like, "Daddy, you owe 35 cents. Ruby, you owe 55 cents, and I owe $1.05." You know, like he had like everybody
Oh
ready
my
because the
God.
jar was back at home. So he's like, "We don't have to pay it until we get home." Like, okay.
Hmm.
So
I think there was a few times Betty tried to do a something jar in the house. It was probably swear jar, and that was never like a problem to
well, you
just
guys did
turn
chores.
it off.
You guys had like a chore list, I remember. Like
Mm-hmm.
somebody was in charge of the dishwasher.
Yep. Dishes or trash, recycling,
How
trash,
hard was
the
trash?
waste paper.
It was just like,
Recycling was a bitch because it was newspapers. So you
uh,
had to get all the newspapers and put them in the brown paper bags. And sometimes it was like, I don't know why, but more than normal. Maybe it was like maybe it was like a couple Sundays. I don't know. We had like this basket. Whenever the basket would get full and maybe start overflowing a little, like St. Patrick's Day and like the trash cans,
right.
that we would have to stuff all those stupid like loose newspapers into. We were basically doing the end of your job, putting them into brown paper bags
Right.
and then carrying them out with the trash, dragging the trash down that long ass driveway to the curb in the dark. Pray that Jason wasn't hiding behind that green electrical box and run back up.
Because he always was. He was there. You didn't know what mood he was in.
I think he knew he wouldn't catch me because I was so quick.
You had your
Because I
Jerry
was
Rice
watching.
jersey
I was
on.
watching. Yeah, I'd wear my helmet.
You're gonna high step back to the Deion Sanders back into the garage.
Yeah.
And then you'd watch the garbage man throw both piles into the garbage and drive away. And you'd be
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, oh, I thought I was saving something. Why am I being abused?
so funny. Yeah, I never really had chores. I mean, I probably just had them, but they weren't organized into like any sort of schedule or assignments.
It was kind of like when we didn't have a game on a weekend day. It was like during the week was the dishes and trash, but like on the weekends, if we didn't have a game, it'd be like vacuum your room, make your bed, clean your room, dust. It was like dust your blinds. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Can somebody
Dust.
in Venice Swiffer, please?
I was like, a vacuum for the wall, please. And then yeah, like vacuum another room, just so before we did, whatever damage we were going to do that day,
Yeah.
because there was no game, no like basketball, football, baseball, track.
Yeah.
Never played hockey. Went to a hockey rink for like maybe the first time in my life. I'm having a hard time remembering if I've ever been on an ice skating rink before. I think I have.
There was a
Percy.
Chris Taylor's birthday party was at a ice skating rink,
I would
and
never have been invited to that. Him and I hated each other.
there's such
He was such a
everybody.
weirdo. Oh no.
So funny the rivalries we had as kids, and I'm like just waiting for my kids to have these rivalries.
I know. I'm so happy. Like, well, Charlie will probably have many. Hannah probably won't have many.
I think
I like have given Hannah free range to just punch Charlie in the face next time she pulls her hair because she does it all the time and
yeah.
worse and worse, and Hannah just won't do it. I'm like,
Well,
do
it's
it, club her.
it's kind of the big sister thing.
I get it. I know. I never wailed Rye.
Yeah.
Never raised my hand to the boy, even though he did to me a couple times.
Yeah.
Once with a baseball bat or a wiffle ball bat. Changes the story
That-
dramatically.
that brought the scale down. Like it went
from
from
rated R to
yeah,
cartoon.
it went from like a Bronx Tale to like a G-rated like Sandlot. Yeah.
Yeah, but still stings like a mother and had a huge bruise across my jaw.
No, it's it's the same threat.
And we all know Rye could swing a bat.
It's like we all know that could escalate. It's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. I think We had an ice skating thing recently. We went to it was at the Penn
Oh,
ice
ice
skating,
skating.
and oh man, so neither of the kids have ever ice skated. I
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if I knew how to ice skate,
Mm-hmm.
and Kelly definitely never ice skated, and she's got the hardware in her ankle, so like getting in ice skates is kind of like not great. So it was like a
Mm-hmm.
school event, and everybody's getting on, and they had like cones, like they had like the cones for people, like the street cones, and they work really well on the ice. I guess you could just hold on to them and kind of skate behind them.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to get on the ice, and they're zamboning it because there was a practice,
Oh
and then
yeah. They
they
did that
they
thing.
they clear it, and then all these kids. Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
Jesus,
that one
gross, Agnew.
that one crawled into
Disgusting.
my crawled into my
Came,
ear canal
came
and
from my left foot.
tickled the little hairs in my ear. Um, and so they opened it up, and so all these kids that I guess were good skaters like started, and they just started like zipping, so like we're kind of behind the plexiglass, and we're all waiting in line to get over, like we have our skates on, and we're just like walking on the rubber and waiting to get on the ice, and the kids are all excited and stuff, and I watch these kids, and they're going around, and then of course 2 seconds into it,
Of course.
one of the kids' friends actually falls and cracks open his lip, and it's just like blood like all over the ice, just like nobody's even on
Dexter.
the ice yet. There's like three people, and there's just like, and he's like, "Ah!" And it's just like, and like,
He's screaming.
yeah, I mean, like I think he like
Dramatic,
he,
dude.
I think he like cut his chin or something like that.
A baby.
But it was like, no. I mean, like he was,
Baby.
he was, he was only like he was in Ruby's class, and
Oh. I thought he was like older.
no. These were like just like young. They were like young kids, but they were like confident, and they were skating fine. Like he was
Or
skating
good.
really well. It's just like,
He slept.
yeah, like after the Zamboni, I guess it was still like a little
Oh,
like slick or
slick.
wet. And so he just wiped out, and he just smacked, and then it was just, and so I'm like walking the kids. So we're like walking in this like little. I'm laughing because I'm just thinking of the situation of like I'm walking the kids. I'm like, hey, we're gonna have a fun time. Like this is gonna be great. And then they're looking out on the ice, and it's like, ah, ah, and they're like, Daddy, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like,
Daddy, is that going to happen to us? Is that what you do here?
now of course in
Is
my
everybody
brain
leave?
too, like I was thinking just like you. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on the ice. I don't want to do any of this stuff. I'm just here because it's like a school event, and I kind of have to do this. But like it's uncomfortable. I know it's going to take 6 years for me to hand these skates back in and get my right shoes back. Like I don't
Oh,
want to do. I want to be back home. I don't want to do this tonight. So the fact that like that's happening, I'm like, up, okay, great. Like it's canceled, kids. Let's go. Like let's head out of here.
oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I had Charlie and Hannah and me, and Heather wasn't there. She was at the spa.
Oh man,
She
you're
she
playing
she,
zone.
she took her
Jeez.
birthday early on the ice. Remember, Charlie's not even 3, and Hannah's never seen ice in her life. Yeah, oh well,
Well, but
Disney
at
on
3,
ice.
it's at least a low center of gravity. Like they don't have that fall down. Like it's just like tiny. Anyway, go ahead.
She wasn't horrible if she actually put her feet with the ice skates on her to the ice because she was afraid and made me
Oh,
hold her in the one arm and hold Hannah in the other arm, both in skates. Somehow, dude, I didn't wipe out. I'm like amazed that I didn't, because I can like lose my balance.
sure.
I feel slightly easier than most, and I just did not. I made very subtle movements. Like at one moment, I got like a little cocky. I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I've done this before," and I like
Yeah,
kicked
that's the
and like
moment.
and moved a little, and like I felt the like ice, the skate not like I felt that it wasn't in a groove. I just felt it like glide sideways. I was like, "Oh no!" And then it like caught another groove, and I was like, "Oh."
Now,
I thought
like
me and Charlie were going down.
when you're in these moments, do you ever think, did our dads have to do this? like, were they at an event that we were with them and like, Dad, can we go around again? And they're like, no, because I almost died 6 times going around this rink. Like somewhere in their head, they're like, no,
I
because I
don't.
hate this.
Yeah, like there had to. I don't know.
Because
It,
the whole time I was with the kids, it was the same. It was very similar. It was like 2 45-pound weights trying to make me fall, like
yeah,
just
yeah.
actively yanking me. And I'm like, I have to stay up. I have to
I
stay
don't know how I
balanced.
did it,
Like,
dude. I don't know how to do it. And on top, like on aside from a whole bunch of other annoying things, the one main thing that I realized I just want to line them all up are hockey people, parent, like people that are like hockey is a part of their like, daily existence,
yeah.
that I just got like smacked in the face with, like I have no clue. And it just they're walking around with their ice skates on like they're in just regular shoes, and
Yeah.
and,
Like
and
where it's
being just
their world.
real Jar Jar Binks about it, like real, like, oh, and this is normal. We just walk this way, and
Yeah.
I wanted to stab.
I was pretty proud of like some of the kids that could do it, but yeah, like when the parents are like going backwards and stuff, it's like the one guy at spin around, right? Like it, like when we go like skating, it would be like the one guy who's still in the 70s, like doing like the
Is that
backwards,
your
and he's
white
like,
fan out there?
yeah,
Is that your white fan, Todd? Yeah, it, and it was so packed, dude, and like unorganized, and like charge you for every silly thing that they can.
uh,
But for about 2 minutes, Hannah was out there with, it wasn't a cone, it looked like a walker, but it was like plastic.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And she was moving by herself, and I was cheering, and she liked it. And I will probably go back there with her, but not at all during a birthday party.
yeah.
It was chaos because the birthday party was all the way upstairs. So with the skates and then up the steps.
Oh, it's like it's nerve wracking too. Like we, I don't know. Did I? I don't even know if
Nerve,
I said this. I
nerve,
don't know. But did I tell you about
fry.
in Vermont, like when we went to the fire tower?
I don't think so.
So we hiked up to the fire tower. It's like a fire tower trail. It's like an old lookout. Now they use like drones and stuff, so they don't need it anymore. But there's once you get to the
Oh,
top of the mountain, there's like a big tower to climb.
so not a
Um,
lighthouse.
Not a lighthouse. No.
Okay.
No walls on it. Just metal stairs that go like up like about 5 stories.
Oh, like in Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah,
Because I know
kind of
you've
like that.
watched that
Yeah.
recently.
But there's no, as one does. I try to stay up on it. But there's no
Every
there's
Columbus Day.
there's no railings or anything, right? So
Right.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after you get to like the first
Scary.
like platform, it like you're kind of at the top of the tree level, and then you get to the next one and you're well above the trees, and then you still have like 4 more to go, and you're starting to see like the
Damn.
tree line and starting to see how high
That's
up you are. Like there's
so cool.
so
We did not talk about this.
the kids were excited. They're like, we made it to the fire tower, and they're like, they start going up, and it was me and
Uh-oh.
it was me, Kelly. Sawyer came for the hike. He did a great job. He hiked 6 miles that day,
Wow, good
and
boy.
he was like in his element, like off leash, like loving everybody, like
Wow.
loving it.
Wolf.
He was great.
Back to
Um,
nature.
and Bill and Owen, and
Who's
so
Bill and Owen?
Ganner.
Oh, Bill Ganner's backyard touched mine in growing up.
Exactly.
For those of you who don't know.
Now you have that piece.
Yep.
So we started going up the kids all like we're at the fire tower, and they start going up. I start going up behind them. Kelly stays with Sawyer because he's not. I don't think he's going to climb the fire tower.
Oh yeah, geez.
And so Bill's following me, but Bill has a fear of heights, and so after he got to the first platform, he's like, "I'm out," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So all the kids like are going up, and like when you're going upstairs, it's not so bad, right? But
Huh.
then we get up to the top, and like as we're going up, I'm starting to get like dizzy. But I have three
Yeah.
children,
Oh,
you
you
know,
gotta suck it up.
where it's like I need to not
You
just
gotta fake it.
stay balanced and stay brave, but also don't let them
Engage
think
the
I'm
core.
scared at all, right? Yeah, no, it was like sphincter. It was
Yes.
like, it was like
Squeeze your cheeks.
the entire time I don't think I even breathed.
No.
So we get all the way to the top, and I'm like, I got to get a picture of you guys, like let me get a picture of you guys, because it's,
Oh,
and like the wind is blowing, like their hats are
yeah.
blowing off and stuff, and they're like trying to catch them. I'm like stop moving, everybody just stop moving, ha ha ha. We're having a great. I felt like a King Richard, like a sheriff of Rottingham, like ha ha ha. We're having such a great time. Just leave your hat. Don't touch your hat. Just don't move. Stay exactly where you are.
The funniest thing happened.
It's ha ha ha. And so
Uh,
so then they started realizing that this was actually a pretty scary thing, because like now they're up in the tower, and the tower is like swaying with like the wind, and you
are they
know
looking? Like, are they able to see over the trees?
now you're well like at the top of it, you're not just above the trees, you're like above every mountain that's around. Like so you can see for like miles, which is
Dude, that would
great.
freak me out. I would. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, now I have to get down, and the stairs are like at a high incline,
Oh yeah, you gotta almost go backwards.
and the I don't even know how to explain this, but like the bottom of the stairs are like there's like one metal bar like this, like it's just like
Oh,
one,
like a ladder, like
like
a
like
like
it,
a.
like if you
Oh,
fell down the stairs, you'd be like, oh, like you just go like right like there's nothing. Like when we, when we got to the
it's
bottom,
a
there's like
smooth roll down the
when we got
stairs.
to the bottom,
Ah.
there's like a thing that you can write your comments in, and like it says like I'm from here, and do you have any comments about the fire tower? And every single one of them was like, could you just put like one more bar like on the side, because it's just way too open. It's like even if you were just reaching for like a handle of something and you missed, you'd be like, oh, like you just fall right out of it. It was crazy.
So like if you were walking down like this,
You
the
just keep
last
going.
step is just a, a stem.
No, I mean like there's like a platform, but
Yeah.
like if you just go a little bit past the platform, like it's just
Oh,
like a
oh,
giant open triangle.
oh.
So you would
So
just go like whoop, like right
it's
underneath the
like
bar. There's no
even like
like
even
ledge.
like an X wouldn't really do it,
An X would
and
be
it's
a
half of that,
dramatic improvement. Like
but
just
it's
to
not.
have that one more X.
Oh wow. And so did you get you obviously everybody got down.
So
Did
I
you
s-
get
I
cool
took
pictures?
I took them each down one at a time. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
was like, all right, like oldest kid
A
stay up here
flash.
first. Like I'm taking the youngest. We're gonna go in age order. And Ruby was like, fine.
I see it. Should we last?
Yeah. And so
Wow.
like I slowly like brought them all down one by one. Having a heart attack because I had like a backpack on, like a hiking backpack, and I forget there was like something sticking out of it in the back. I don't know if it was like an umbrella or something, and it kept getting
Pocket
caught.
knife.
Like as I would come down the stairs, it would like get caught on something, and I'd feel like I'm getting pulled back off of
Oh
the front thing.
geez.
So like I get that stomach feel, where you're like the kick
No,
from
no, no, no,
Inception.
no.
Yeah. So
Yeah, right.
I brought each kid down, but I treated it like it looked like I was part of like the Coast Guard doing a rescue.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, all
right.
right, now you're gonna
I
come with
know.
me. Now turn
Right.
around,
Yeah.
go like this. Like I'm just giving them like
Like
instructions.
you're saving the miners in wherever the heck they were.
And then I just got to the bottom, and I just ran over to Kelly, and I was like, I was terrified. Like I was.
What
I felt like I just wanted to go off into the woods and like throw up afterwards, because it was just like so like, but it's like that
find
dad
your center.
intensity where it's like, all right, so no matter my fear, like I now have to reach into this beehive and fight 1,000 bees to save my children. Like it was kind of just like I'm stuck in a
Reminds me of
dangerous situation.
that mom that those idiots just like kicked in her back windshield, that kid. and she just parked the car and got out and like walked towards him because her kids
Is
were
this
in
like
the
a
back
video or
seat.
something?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it was Philly, and they caught the kid. Like they found him,
So what
but
happened? I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
they were like, she was driving through somewhere with her kids in the back of the car. It's nighttime, and she comes up to a red light, and there's like all these like dirt biker kind of, they like the bad guys in Karate Kid for real. Like all of a sudden like harassing all the cars around, and the dude gets up on her car and starts like on the back trunk,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like stomping on her windshield. Next thing you know, he stomps her windshield, like he stomps through it, and the glass breaks and it goes all over two kids in the back seat.
Oh my gosh.
She puts the car in park and just gets out and walks right up to the dude and just pushes him and like knocks him over. And I was like, she saw absolute like red. Like it didn't matter what that guy, that luckily that kid wasn't too much of a threat physically. So it was like he just kind of like fell and then got back on his thing and drove away.
Oh man.
But it's like, yeah, sometimes you just,
That would not have been my solution. Because I mean, like,
I don't know what I would have done.
I would have just I would have just
I would have
thrown it in
gotten out of there.
reverse. I would have just gunned reverse and then gunned
Yeah.
drive. Like,
Yeah. I don't think I would have been, he wouldn't have had the chance to do it.
you'd be surprised. I mean, like sometimes those things just happen so fast, you know, because like you can't pull up to like a light and think like everybody's up to something, you know, like
Unless you were just a chronic rule breaker and that was the only thing that you cared about doing. You're
yeah.
always expecting someone to like pull a knife out.
Well, I
at the
mean,
last
like
second.
I'm driving around Philly all the time. It's like there's shady, like everybody. After it gets dark, I feel like everybody. I walk out of a CVS. I'm like, what's that guy doing? Oh, he's just getting coupons. You know, like it
Dude,
just like
has the like that mass looting thing trickled towards you?
no, that's
Where they
Center
like,
City
you know, all
stuff.
go in. Oh, okay.
I mean, when like when the George Floyd riots, that ended up coming more this way, and then they actually trashed our grocery store at the time because we used to go to the ShopRite, and they trashed it. But they just trashed it. They didn't take any. They just took the alcohol because there was like a like a wine and beer section, and so they took it.
A state store.
No, not even a state store. It's just like some of the grocery stores have
like
just
the bottle
wine,
shops.
just wine and beer.
Yeah.
So you can. So I think they just cleared that out, and then the GameStop didn't touch the Lowe's, or maybe they did. I think the Lowe's got a hit a little bit.
Not preparing for the apocalypse. Just getting drunk and playing video games.
Yeah. I think they probably took like dumb things at the Lowe's, like just like screwdrivers. They're like, I can sell these or something.
Yeah, right. They took like 1 million nails.
Yeah, I don't know what the whole thing is. But all the Models are gone. Like none of them opened back up after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just like were like.
Oh yeah, that and the pandemic.
Bye, Philly.
Just put them out.
No, it was that.
So, yeah.
because after they would fix it, people would break back in like a week later. So they.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I remember seeing repeated break-ins, but I didn't realize it was like the same ones.
Yeah, they were like, "Nah, we're done. Thanks, bye." Plus, I mean, it's expensive places. I mean, those places, even just to rent them,
gigantic.
Or I mean, it's like right on
Modell's
Walnut.
was like the Dick's of the Philly area in the 80s and the 90s and up until a year ago or so.
Yeah. I haven't seen any new. I think there's still some out in like Cheltenham or something like that, but I haven't seen any in the city.
I used to always think it was gotta go to Moe's, yeah.
Models. Yeah.
I had no idea it was called Modell's. Just Moe's.
I still remember Moe's, picking out my starter jacket. God, that was so intense.
Which one did you have? Eagles? You had a nice Eagles one, didn't you?
No, I didn't have Eagles.
Penn State.
It was already taken. It was Penn State. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know anything about Penn State. Never watched a Penn State game, but it was like the only local thing that we like nobody else had because I think
It was acceptable.
somebody had the Flyers. Forget. Can you
I
remember
had the
everybody's?
I had the I had the 49ers, Fran had the Dolphins, Smith had the Bills, and the
Same.
Patriots. Just depends. Terry had the Orioles or the Eagles. Kim had the
He might have had both.
Orioles.
Yeah.
Pete had nothing. Halsey nothing.
No, Pete had the
Blackhawks, Chicago Blackhawks
yeah,
hockey
yeah,
team.
yeah, right.
That was a sweet one, actually.
Yeah, that one was pretty
It was
cool.
like black.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Kim. Yeah, he had Orioles. Yeah, Fran Dolphins. I
Didn't nobody
think
had
I
Phillies?
had no. It
How did
was
that
too
happen?
red, and they sucked until
That's true. They had like they went worst to first, right? In like 90.
and then back to worst.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
that was a good one. I never even like poked that part of my brain for 30 years, and luckily it's
it
just sitting
responded
there.
immediately.
The
Yeah.
file was like crisp. It's like, hey, remember this is a good time. This was something you treasure. You forgot about it. What was Ganner? Ganner was the Pirates?
No, the Penguins.
Close enough.
Yeah. He might have had a Pirates too, I don't know.
Isn't it
But
funny that we can rattle off the boys from our 8th grade graduating class because there was 9 of us.
yeah. It's so easy.
Penn State. What did I have?
Did Halsey really not have one? I feel like he did. I feel like everybody had one.
I can't remember what I had. I had a 49ers one, but it wasn't like the traditional starter
I want to
jacket.
think about like where is it? Did
What,
it
your
like
Penn State?
disintegrate? Yeah. Like I feel like it wouldn't have like I wouldn't have gotten rid of it.
I think it became part of someone's CWO costume. Therefore, it did
That's probably what. Yeah,
disintegrate,
it probably got ripped apart.
or is housing some early forms of mitochondria.
I've seen some people have them, and one thing to remember about those, they didn't put anything inside them. They had
Yeah,
like no
just
insulation whatsoever in them.
windbreakers.
Yeah, they were just basically windbreakers.
Yeah, I had like an ugly. Well, it wasn't ugly, but it just wasn't. It was like an older model starter of 49ers red and gold. It was like red in that like, whatever gold color and like tan. And it was good. I remember it would keep you isolated. Then everyone after that I had was always just like a windbreaker, a fluffy windbreaker.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like Steelers. I can't remember. It's so weird. Niners.
They were great
Giants.
for.
I may have had a Giants one.
No way. You had a Giant? I don't remember that. Giants?
Yeah, I was a Giants fan. I liked,
Weren't you like
let's
a Browns
LT.
fan for like a while?
No, I liked it when they came back because their team, fled in the middle of the night like
Oh,
bandits. They moved to Baltimore.
yeah. Right.
And they were about to, the Ravens won the Super Bowl the next year. So I was like, what a rip to Cleveland. And I thought it was bold that they just had orange hats or helmets and they were called the Browns.
Yeah. Which is like a dog, right? Like that's.
I mean, that's kind of what it morphed into, but I think it's really just the guy who originally owned the team was
Oh.
Brown.
Mm,
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
pretty
that.
sure
I
that's the
love
real
when
story.
things are so simple.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, I'm Brown. My
They're
name's
Brown.
John Brown, and I'm going to. Team's going to be brown, and the color
Browns.
of their uniforms are also going to be brown. Their mascot's going to be a brown dog. Done.
Yeah.
Go.
Dog pound. Dog pound. It'll like evolve.
You didn't have to
in like
order a
night.
graphic designer or anything like that. Like,
No. Yeah.
they're like,
He
well, what
knocked it out of
color
the park.
brown? He's like, brown. What do you mean brown?
Yeah,
Brown.
and they had like the greatest defense, and they moved to Baltimore, and they beat the Giants in the Super Bowl, and then like the next year they were like Cleveland's getting their football team back. So I think I was probably like I'm gonna be a Browns fan, and
Was
then
it
they of
the?
course
But it wasn't
sucked
the
ever
Ravens,
since.
right? Was it the Oilers?
No, the Ravens.
The Ravens moved,
The Oilers moved to Tennessee.
and the
Became
So the Ravens came back and were the Browns again, and then the
No.
Ravens. Oh, sorry.
No, the Browns moved to Baltimore,
Mhm.
became the Ravens. Then just, I guess, a new owner made a new team, like the NFL.
So it just popped up.
Yeah, it was like an expansion team technically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
An expansion reissue.
Reboot.
Reboot.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're gonna just stick with Browns.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, all right, now here's their chance. They're going to change the uniforms. They're going to make brown helmets. No.
Nope.
Still orange. It would be neat if they won the Super Bowl. It'd be so weird.
Yeah.
Like if that team was the team on the stage that like the world saw.
Yeah.
Like, they're called the what? Wait, what? Like maybe all these jokes that I've been making for like 30 years will all get like mainstream, and everyone else will make them, and I'll be like, I made those jokes in the 90s, damn it.
When nobody was looking.
Oh, right. No time. No resources, no money, no. I have to pee pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I think we covered everything.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll do whatever episodes of Loki air and the Ahsoka finale, because I know there was like one thing that you sent me that I wanted to touch on, but it like goes on. It's more than just 2 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. I just couldn't resist, so I had to send you something.
No, and it was like you watched it through my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. And I was here. I was literally sitting right here, so it wasn't like I was driving and got it, on.
I probably messed up something. I just sent it with the computer.
Xfinity crap.
Send it on my phone.
All right, brother.
All right, we did it.
Great talk. Don't forget to
we had a late one. Don't
forget to subscribe. Yes, we did. We'll see you next week. We gotta go.
It's gonna snow.
It's actually 2 weeks. All right, brother.
And